Welcome to a quick preview of Pakistan's candidacy for the T20 World Cup to be held here in the US and, of course, in the Caribbean, starting off in about 3 weeks. With me is Izzy Khwaja. We'll briefly discuss Pakistan in this upcoming T20 World Cup. As we all remember, they were runner-up in the 2022 edition. They lost to England in a heartbreaking final after basically somehow scheming their way into the semis. Let's quickly just dive right in. So right after the PSL, obviously, they went to this training camp and they named this squad to go to Ireland and then of course, to go to England. And the first thing off the bat was, just like the Zalmi had Babar and Saim opening, that became the new opening partnership. Where does this leave, one, Rizwan, two, where does this leave Fakhr's role in the team as a whole and in the number 4 spot for you compared to, say, a Shadab? How do you feel? Quickly touch upon the openers, touch upon Rizwan's role.
Well, that's a brilliant question, Sadi bhai, because as we've seen Saim and Rizwan being tried in the recent tour of Ireland. Saim has disappointed, it has to be said, in the outings he's made for the Pakistan team so far, but the talent is undeniable. And Rizwan, if he's not going to open the innings for you in T20s, then I really don't see what utility he offers at number 3, number 4. They're all very similar in that 125 to 135 strike rate sort of range. And Fakhr Zaman is another makeshift batter. We're adjusting at the number 4 position despite having a very, very poor PSL. And well, Pakistan team have rolled the dice on the players that they know, the poison that they know, so to speak. I'm not convinced with Fakhr Zaman in T20 eyes at all, but it seems like they want that left-hander in the middle order, and Fakhr Zaman is the only real option we have.
So coming to that real quick, how much should we have recency bias and look to the IPL and the way teams have played in the IPL as a way of approaching T20 cricket? Obviously, international is different. The Caribbean and the US pitches will be different. But clearly the IPL, this edition, has sort of showed this evolution of cricket, whereby you don't have anchors anymore. You basically, and there was an interview of a batter just the other day, you basically go out and dominate from ball one because you have the mindset that I have complete faith and confidence in every one of my teammates, and I have to dominate from ball one, because if I don't dominate, I'm basically wasting 1 out of 120 balls that are offered to me, basically 1% of every innings, and I don't have time to basically set my eyes in. Do you think this is recency bias, or is this the new evolution of T20 cricket?
I think it's absolutely the trend right now, Sadi bhai, and I think Pakistan have fallen behind. We just don't have those kind of players who can execute with intent at that level. Of course, we're still sticking to the likes of Babar, Fakhr, Rizwan. That's a generation that has perhaps fallen behind in T20 cricket. If you look at England, if you look at Australia, they're way ahead of us. Even the West Indies, for example, their 1 to 7 is absolutely power packed, and they can all play at that strike rate of 150 plus. We're behind the times right now. We've always banked on our bowling to bail out our batting, and I think that might very well get exposed in North America and the Caribbean in this T20 World Cup.
Yeah, no, that you make a good point. I think bowling has become something in T20 cricket you cannot necessarily rely on to consistently win. I think to consistently win in T20 now, you need a very solid, explosive batting lineup. And so there's probably room for one person who can be an anchor, and India will have Kohli in that role. And so in which case, Pakistan's equivalent is, of course, Babar. But I just don't see us being able to carry a Rizwan and a Fakhr. To me, it should be Babar, Saim, and then it's a pity that Harris isn't in the squad, because he'd be a perfect number 3 with Shadab at 4. Let's quickly touch on Shadab. Do you see him as a 4-over bowler, or should he only be a batter? Obviously, Amir and Imad came back into the team. You don't bring them back into the team unless they're going to be part of your playing 11. Quickly touch on Shadab, and then just touch on the Pacers in general and how you felt that they did in the recent Ireland series.
Sadi bhai, honestly feel Shadab himself is going through a bit of an identity crisis right now, because in the PSL his batting exploits have hit the headlines rather than his bowling. But for Pakistan, his batting has never really stepped up to that level. On occasion it has. We remember that brilliant innings he played versus South Africa at Sydney. But other than that, it's very few and far between when Shadab has truly delivered with the bat for Pakistan. And the bowling has tailed off very badly in the recent times. We've seen in this recent series versus the Kiwis as well, he was going at around 9-10 runs per over. So Pakistan really can't afford to have a failing Shadab Khan. He's such a key bowler for us. And honestly, that's why perhaps they've brought back Mohammad Amir and Imad Wasim just to increase that economy rate squeeze. They may not be picking up wickets, but perhaps that will give a bit of freedom to Shadab to really express himself and bowl those wicket-taking deliveries in the middle overs.
It's interesting because he's almost a different player when he plays in the PSL. Maybe some of that is the captaincy that Islamabad United has given him, because in this edition he was an absolutely magnificent fielder, especially if you look at their last 3-4 games where basically they had to run the gauntlet, batting and bowling in the PSL. But with Pakistan, it's almost like it's a different player, and I don't know if it's because his role is not as set. He doesn't always come in at number 4. Not that he always would come in at number 4 with Islamabad, but I think he had a little bit more defined role. It's good to see Naseem back to some semblance of where he was. Shaheen certainly looks better than he was in the PSL. Would you put Haris into your 11?
Well, that's a really, really good question you're asking, Sadi, because Amir, that much wanted comeback, that was highly publicized by the PCB as well. So it does seem like they're a bit wary of Haris Rauf's fitness. There's no doubt about his T20I record. He's been absolutely phenomenal in that trio we've had of Naseem, Haris Rauf, and of course Shaheen, all fully fit. All three will play. But maybe looking at the pitches, it's a bit of a mystery how the North American pitches will play. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to go with a 4-pronged seam attack. Then you have Shadab and Imad. Of course, they give you batting as well. Maybe sacrifice the batting slot and trust Shadab to deliver with the bat. And then you can go in with 4 seamers plus Imad Wasim as your spin and Shadab as your 6th bowler, so to speak.
So you don't favor playing 2 spinners in the sense of a Abrar or a Osama Mir?
I'm just worried about the Caribbean pitches because they've been really flat for the last season and a half. So if you're banking on your spinners to get you through, it might be a bit of a risk. I'd rather go with a 4-seamer option. And they're your best options. Mohammad Amir, Haris Rauf, Shaheen Shafridi and Naseem Shah. Well, that's 4 of the world's best.
No, that's a good point. And to me, I think the one benefit of Amir is that clearly, and to use a baseball analogy, he's not just a thrower, he's a pitcher, he's a thinking man's bowler. And so if there's someone who can sort of figure out a way to, if not take wickets, sort of curtail the run flow, it'll be him. Once again, it's a Pakistan team going into a World Cup with who knows what. Anything, we wouldn't be surprised if it's a group exit. We wouldn't be surprised if they win. But that's the way we like it. That's why we're fans. That's why we watch. Thank you, AZ, for this wonderful preview.